The day the security guard handed Nathan a cardboard box filled with his personal items and escorted him out the gleaming glass doors of First National Bank, his stomach twisted in a way he hadn't felt since his college days. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson," the guard muttered, avoiding eye contact, as if the very air around Nathan had become toxic. But it wasn't the loss of his title as senior manager or the whispers from colleagues that hit hardest. It was the realization that his secret had finally caught up with him. Nathan had built his career on precision and discretion, climbing the ranks in Chicago's competitive finance scene by keeping every aspect of his personal life locked away. No office parties with plus ones, no social media posts, no casual mentions of weekends spent with the man who had been his anchor for 5 years. Adrian, with his easy smile and creative soul as a freelance photographer, had understood the need for secrecy, at least at first. But as Nathan drove home through the bustling streets, the weight of the morning's confrontation pressed down on him like the heavy Chicago winter sky. The CEO's words echoed. "The board has received concerning information about your lifestyle. We have to think about the bank's image." It was code for the anonymous tip that had outed him, a blurry photo of him and Adrian at a quiet dinner sent by someone he once called a friend. When he pulled into the driveway of their modest suburban home, Adrian was waiting on the porch, his camera bag slung over one shoulder, as if ready for an adventure. "Nathan, what are you doing home so early?" Adrian's voice carried the familiar warmth that always calmed Nathan's storms, but today it only amplified the panic. Nathan stepped out of the car, the box from the office clutched in his hands like a shield. "I was let go, Adrian. They forced me to resign." The words hung in the air, raw and unbelievable even to his own ears. Adrian's face paled, and he pulled Nathan into a tight embrace right there on the porch, not caring if the neighbors saw. "We'll figure this out together. You're not alone in this." That evening, as they sat at the kitchen table with untouched coffee, Nathan's phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered on the second ring, expecting perhaps a concerned colleague or worse, his family. Instead, a confident voice on the other end introduced itself as the HR director from Horizon Bank, the biggest rival in the city. "Mr. Thompson, we've been following your career for years. We'd like to offer you a position as regional director with a salary double what you were making at First National. We value talent, and we don't discriminate based on personal matters." The offer was staggering, a lifeline thrown into the chaos. But as Nathan hung up and relayed the news to Adrian, a new kind of fear settled in. Accepting it would mean stepping into the spotlight, perhaps even publicly acknowledging their relationship. Was he ready for that? The conversation stretched late into the night, filled with what-ifs and quiet reassurances, but Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that this opportunity was just the beginning of a much larger storm. The next morning, Nathan woke to the sound of Adrian preparing breakfast, the aroma of eggs and toast filling the air. He joined him at the counter, and they talked about the offer in hushed tones, as if the walls might judge them. Adrian, ever the optimist, saw it as a chance for Nathan to finally live freely. "This could be your fresh start, Nate. No more hiding who we are." But Nathan's mind raced with doubts, his conservative parents in the suburbs, the friends who had turned their backs to the industry that thrived on appearances. He spent the day researching Horizon Bank, noting their progressive policies and inclusive culture, but the thought of uprooting their life in Chicago for the potential move to their New York branch made his chest tighten. By afternoon, he had scheduled a meeting with their recruiter for the following week. As the sun set, Nathan stood by the window watching Adrian capture the golden light with his camera, and for the first time in years, he allowed himself to imagine a life without the constant fear of exposure. Yet the betrayal from his old bank lingered like a shadow, and he wondered who had sent that email, a colleague he'd mentored or someone closer. The question gnawed at him as they retired to bed, Adrian's hand finding his in the darkness, a silent promise that whatever came next, they would face it side by side. Nathan spent the following days replaying every interaction at First National, searching for the moment when trust had cracked. He remembered laughing with his assistant Sarah over coffee only weeks ago, never suspecting she might have seen the text from Adrian that one careless day he left his phone unlocked. Or was it Mark, the ambitious junior, who had eyed his position for months? The uncertainty burned. Adrian tried to distract him with a walk along the lakefront, the crisp air, carrying the promise of change. But Nathan's thoughts kept drifting back to the resignation letter, now sitting in the box like a verdict. When the phone rang again, it was his mother, her voice tight with worry. "Nathan, honey, your father saw something online. Is it true?" The call ended abruptly with her tears and his father's silence, hanging heavier than any boardroom dismissal. By the time the Horizon recruiter confirmed the details, double the salary, full relocation support, and a public statement welcoming diverse leadership, Nathan felt the ground shifting beneath him. He looked at Adrian across the room, sketching ideas for his next gallery show, and realized the choice wasn't just about money anymore. It was about who he wanted to be when the world finally saw him clearly. The weight of that realization kept him awake until dawn, but for the first time the fear felt mixed with something else, a spark of possibility he hadn't dared name before. The meeting with Horizon's recruiter took place in a sleek downtown cafe, far from the polished lobbies Nathan once commanded. Elena Ramirez slid a thick folder across the table, her smile genuine and professional. "We don't just want your expertise, Nathan. We want the whole person. Our culture celebrates authenticity." The numbers on the offer letter danced before his eyes: 180,000 base, plus bonuses nearly double his old pay. Adrian waited outside on a bench, scrolling through his camera roll, giving Nathan space, yet staying close enough to offer silent support, with a quick wave when their eyes met through the window. As Elena outlined a role, managing a growing portfolio in the Midwest with occasional trips to the New York headquarters, Nathan felt the pull of excitement battling the terror of visibility. "You'll need to be comfortable with our Pride initiatives," she added casually, and the word pride landed like spotlight. Driving home that afternoon, Nathan gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary. "They want me to speak at the next diversity summit, Adrian." "Openly." Adrian nodded, his hand resting on Nathan's knee. "And that's terrifying because—" Nathan pulled into a quiet side street and killed the engine. "Because my parents barely spoke to me after the call. Because the guys I play basketball with every Saturday suddenly stopped texting. Because I spent 32 years building a version of myself that kept everyone happy." Adrian listened without interrupting, his eyes steady. "I love you, Nate, but I can't keep being your secret forever. This offer could be the door we both need." They sat in silence until Nathan finally whispered, "I'm scared I'll lose everything." Adrian pulled him close right there in the car, the kind of embrace that reminded Nathan why he had fallen in love with this man in the first place at a small gallery opening 5 years earlier, when Adrian's photographs of city nights had spoken straight to his soul. The following weekend, they drove to Nathan's childhood home in the western suburbs for what was supposed to be a casual dinner. His mother hugged him too tightly. His father shook his hand with forced firmness. The conversation stayed surface level until dessert, when his younger brother Ryan cleared his throat. "So the rumor mill at the gym is pretty loud, Nate. You and some guy." The room froze. Nathan's mother dropped her fork. Adrian reached under the table for his hand, and his father stared at the wall, as if the family portrait there suddenly held all the answers. "It's not a rumor, Dad." Nathan said, his voice steadier than he felt. "His name is Adrian. We've been together 5 years." The silence that followed stretched until Ryan muttered, "Jesus, Nate, you couldn't have picked a worse time," and their mother started crying softly. Adrian sat tall, offering quiet facts about his work, his respect for Nathan, but the damage was done. On the drive back, Nathan stared out the window, replaying his father's single sentence, "We raised you better than this." Back in their living room, Adrian poured 2 glasses of wine and set one in front of Nathan. "That was brutal, but you did it." You said the words out loud to them. Nathan took a long sip, the alcohol burning a path that matched the ache in his chest. "And now Horizon wants an answer by Friday. Double the salary, relocation package, the works. But if I take it, I have to be the face of their new, inclusive campaign." Adrian set his glass down. "Then be the face, Nate. Be the man I fell in love with, the one who doesn't flinch when life gets real." Nathan wanted to believe him, but the memory of his mother's tears and his father's disappointment looped in his mind like a bad investment report. That night, he lay awake listening to Adrian's even breathing and wondered if love really could survive the kind of spotlight a doubled salary would bring. Monday morning brought another surprise. Sarah, his former assistant, called from a blocked number. "Nathan, I had to tell you it was Mark. He saw the photo on your desk that day you were out sick and forwarded it to the board. He wanted your job." The betrayal stung deeper than the firing itself. Nathan thanked her, hung up, and immediately dialed the Horizon recruiter. "I'll come in tomorrow to sign the paperwork." The decision felt both liberating and terrifying. Adrian celebrated with takeout from their favorite Thai place, but Nathan could see the worry lines around his partner's eyes. "You're doing this for us, right?" Adrian asked later as they cleared the table. Nathan nodded, but inside he wondered if he was doing it for the money, the validation, or simply because he had run out of places to hide. The next 48 hours blurred with contract reviews, background checks, and a quiet packing of his old office memorabilia. Each box sealed felt like closing a chapter he wasn't sure he wanted to end. By Wednesday night, the reality settled. Horizon had already announced his hiring internally, and the Pride Committee wanted a short bio for their newsletter. Nathan sat at the kitchen island, drafting sentences that included Adrian's name for the first time in any professional context. When he read the draft aloud, Adrian's eyes shone with pride. See, the world didn't end. But Nathan knew the hardest conversations were still ahead. His parents, his old colleagues, the version of himself that had believed hiding was safer. As they turned off the lights that night, Nathan pulled Adrian closer, whispering, "Thank you for not giving up on me." The answer came in the form of a gentle kiss and the quiet promise that whatever the doubled salary brought, they would walk through it together, one honest step at a time. The official announcement from Horizon Bank hit LinkedIn like a headline Nathan never imagined writing. "Proud to welcome Nathan Thompson as our new regional director, bringing fresh vision and commitment to inclusive leadership." Comments poured in, some congratulatory, some stunned, some outright hostile from former First National contacts. Nathan scrolled through them at the breakfast table, his coffee going cold. Adrian leaned over his shoulder. "Ignore the trolls. Focus on the ones who matter." But one comment from Mark, his old rival, stood out. "Enjoy the spotlight, Thompson. Hope it's worth it." The words burned. That afternoon, Nathan met with the Horizon marketing team for campaign photos. They wanted images of him and Adrian together, natural and proud, for the internal Pride Month rollout. Adrian arrived straight from a shoot, still carrying his camera bag, and the photographer positioned them against the backdrop of the bank's glass atrium. "Just be yourselves," the director said. Nathan felt exposed yet strangely free as Adrian's arm slipped around his waist. The flashes captured something real, the way Adrian looked at him with unwavering support, the same look that had carried him through the resignation. When the session ended, the team applauded, and for the first time, Nathan allowed himself to smile without checking who might be watching. The relocation package included a generous housing allowance for their move to a larger apartment closer to the new office. Adrian spent evenings sketching layouts while Nathan negotiated start dates. "New York is an option too," the recruiter reminded him during a follow-up call, "if you ever want the bigger stage." Nathan declined for now. Chicago still felt like home, even with the ghosts. But the offer planted a seed. What if they left everything behind and started completely fresh? That night, over dinner, Adrian brought it up gently. "If New York feels right, we could go. My photography can travel." Nathan appreciated the flexibility, but the thought of leaving his family, even fractured family, made his stomach knot. A week later, Ryan called unexpectedly. "Mom's been asking about you." Dad too, though he won't admit it. They met at a neutral sports bar, Ryan nursing a beer while Nathan stuck to water. "I was an idiot at dinner," Ryan admitted. "Adrian seems solid. Just give us time." The conversation felt like the first crack in a frozen lake thawing slowly. Nathan left the bar lighter, sharing the update with Adrian later. "Your brother reached out. Small win." Adrian grinned. "See? People can change." Work at Horizon moved fast. Nathan dove into portfolio reviews, team meetings, and strategy sessions, discovering colleagues who openly discussed their partners without hesitation. During one lunch, a senior vice president clapped him on the back. "Glad you're here. We need more leaders like you." The validation felt foreign yet addictive. Still, evenings brought the quiet doubts. Adrian noticed the tension and suggested a weekend getaway to a cabin up north. They hiked trails cooked over an open fire and talked until the stars came out. "I love the man you're becoming," Adrian said by the campfire. "But I miss the guy who didn't carry the weight of the world." Nathan promised to find balance, knowing the doubled salary came with doubled expectations, both professional and personal. Back in the city, the first Pride Committee meeting loomed. Nathan prepared remarks about his journey, but the night before he froze, staring at the blank page. Adrian sat beside him. "Start with the truth. The day you got fired. The day you chose us." The words flowed then, and when Nathan practiced aloud, Adrian's eyes filled with tears. "That's the man I fell in love with." The meeting went smoothly, the room full of nods and questions. Afterward, a young analyst approached him. "Your story gave me courage. I'm coming out to my family next month." Nathan shook his hand, feeling the first real ripple of impact. The doubled salary was nice, but this was the reason the risk felt worth it. Yet not everything was smooth. An old First National client called demanding to know why Nathan had switched sides. The conversation turned ugly until Nathan calmly ended the call. Adrian listened from the doorway. "You handled that like a pro." Nathan laughed bitterly. "Years of practice hiding taught me how to stand tall when it counts." They spent the evening planning their first public date since the announcement, a gallery opening where Adrian's new series would debut. Walking in together hand in hand felt revolutionary. Cameras flashed, not for scandal, but for celebration. Nathan realized the secret love that had cost him his old job was now the foundation of something stronger. The gallery opening buzzed with energy, Adrian's photographs of Chicago nights glowing under soft lights. Nathan stood beside him, fielding questions from strangers who now knew his name from the Horizon announcement. "Your partner is incredibly talented," one woman said, and Nathan beamed with pride that no longer needed to be hidden. Adrian squeezed his hand, grateful for the support. But midway through the evening, Nathan's phone vibrated with a text from his mother. "Can we talk? Dad wants to meet Adrian." The invitation felt like a lifeline and a landmine at once. They arranged Sunday brunch at a quiet cafe near the suburbs. Nathan's parents arrived early, his mother hugging Adrian awkwardly, his father offering a firm handshake. Conversation started stiff, but Adrian's genuine questions about their garden and his father's old stamp collection slowly warmed the table. "We raised Nathan to be honest," his father said, finally, "and we failed him by making honesty feel unsafe." The apology hung in the air, heavy yet healing. Nathan's mother wiped her eyes. "We just want you happy, son." By the time coffee arrived, the tension had eased into cautious optimism. Driving home, Adrian rested his head on Nathan's shoulder. "That went better than I expected." Nathan agreed, but knew full acceptance would take time. Work intensified with a major client presentation looming. Nathan prepared late nights, reviewing data, Adrian bringing him tea and quiet encouragement. "You've got this," he said one midnight, kissing Nathan's temple. The presentation went flawlessly, the client signing on the spot, and Horizon CEO personally congratulated him. The doubled salary suddenly felt earned, not just lucky. Yet success brought new pressure, whispers about favoritism because of his story. Nathan confronted the rumor mill directly in a team meeting. "My personal life doesn't change my results. Let's focus on winning." The room respected the boundary, and productivity soared. Adrian's own career hit a milestone when a major magazine wanted to feature his work. The interview asked about their relationship, and Adrian spoke openly about Nathan's courage. The article went viral within hours, and Nathan received messages from old friends apologizing for their silence. One in particular from his college roommate read, "I was wrong to disappear. Proud of you both." The validation felt like pieces clicking into place. A weekend visit to New York for a Horizon Leadership Summit tested them. The city pulsed with energy, and the possibility of relocation resurfaced. During a quiet moment on the hotel balcony, Adrian asked, "Would you ever want this? Us here, starting over?" Nathan considered the skyline. "Maybe someday. But right now, Chicago is where our story is still unfolding." They returned home, stronger, the trip clarifying what mattered most. Back in Chicago, family dinner at Nathan's parents' house marked another step. Ryan brought his girlfriend, and the conversation flowed naturally. Adrian fit seamlessly, sharing photography stories that made everyone laugh. Nathan watched his father clap Adrian on the back and felt the last knot in his chest loosen. Later that night, Adrian whispered, "Your family is trying." "That's huge." Nathan pulled him close, grateful for the man who had waited patiently through every storm. Yet one shadow remained. Mark from the old bank reached out via email. "Heard about the new gig. Congrats. Maybe we can grab a beer and clear the air." Nathan stared at the message for days, debating whether forgiveness was possible. Adrian advised, "Only if it brings you peace." The meeting happened at a neutral bar, and Mark admitted jealousy had driven his actions. "I was wrong, Nate. You deserved better." They parted with cautious respect, not friendship, but closure. Nathan returned home lighter, sharing the story with Adrian over wine. "Today I let go of the last piece of that old life." Adrian raised his glass. "To the new one we're building together." The annual Horizon Charity Gala arrived in a swirl of tuxedos and evening gowns. Nathan and Adrian attended as an official couple, the invitation explicitly including Adrian's name. Walking the red carpet, Nathan felt the cameras capture their story without shame. Inside, the ballroom colleagues toasted his promotion, the doubled salary now translating into expanded team resources and community programs. The CEO pulled Nathan aside. "Your leadership is changing us for the better." The words meant more than any paycheck. Adrian mingled easily charming donors with stories of his latest project. Nathan watched him from across the room, heart full. But during the silent auction, a familiar face appeared. Sarah from First National, now working elsewhere. She approached cautiously. "You look happy, Nate." "I'm glad." They chatted briefly, the conversation free of bitterness. Sarah confessed she had tried to stop Mark, but failed. "You inspire me to leave too." The exchange felt like full circle. Later that evening, Adrian pulled Nathan onto the dance floor under soft lights. "Remember our first dance at that tiny gallery?" Nathan smiled. "How could I forget? You stepped on my toes twice." They swayed together, the world fading until only the music and each other remained. In that moment, Nathan understood the doubled salary was merely the vehicle. The real treasure was the freedom to love openly. The next morning brought unexpected news. Adrian's mother in California had fallen ill. Adrian booked a flight immediately, Nathan insisting on joining despite a packed schedule. "Family first," he told his team, rescheduling meetings without hesitation. In California, they spent days at the hospital, Adrian's mother recovering slowly. Nathan handled logistics, groceries, and quiet support, allowing Adrian space to process. One evening, Adrian's mother squeezed Nathan's hand. "Thank you for loving my son so well." The simple words healed something deep. Returning to Chicago, they faced a new challenge. The relocation offer to New York resurfaced with even better terms. Nathan weighed the pros, the expanded role, the cultural opportunities, the chance to build something entirely new. Adrian remained supportive, but voiced his concern. "I love our life here, but if New York calls to you, I'm with you." The decision deadline loomed, and Nathan spent sleepless nights journaling his fears, his dreams, his love for the man beside him. A heated discussion erupted one rainy evening. "What if I say no?" Nathan asked. Adrian's response was measured. "Then we stay and keep building. But don't say no because you're still afraid." The truth stung, yet liberated. Nathan realized the real choice wasn't between cities, but between comfort and courage. They talked until sunrise, mapping possibilities, laughing at absurd what-ifs, and reaffirming their commitment. By morning, Nathan knew his answer. The following week, he met the CEO. "I'll stay in Chicago, but I want to expand the mentorship program for LGBTQ+ professionals." The CEO agreed, immediately impressed by the vision. The doubled salary would fund scholarships and workshops, turning personal pain into purpose. Adrian celebrated with a home-cooked dinner and a promise. "Whatever comes next, we choose it together." Months later, the mentorship program launched with Nathan as keynote speaker. The auditorium filled with young professionals, many facing the same fears he once carried. Adrian sat in the front row, eyes shining with pride. Nathan spoke honestly about the forced resignation the rival offered the long road to authenticity. The greatest salary isn't in dollars, it's in living without shame. The applause thundered, and several attendees approached afterward, sharing their own stories. Life settled into a new rhythm. Nathan's parents visited regularly now, including Adrian in family traditions. Ryan and his girlfriend double-dated with them at ball games. Horizon promoted Nathan again, recognizing his impact beyond numbers. Adrian's photography gained national attention, featuring their journey in a gallery show titled Steps into Light. One crisp autumn evening, they walked along the lakefront, the city skyline glittering. Nathan stopped, turned to Adrian, and dropped to one knee. 5 years ago, I hit us. Today I want the world to know forever. Will you marry me? Adrian's yes came through tears and laughter. They celebrated quietly with close friends and family, the engagement ring catching the Chicago lights. As winter approached, they planned a simple wedding for spring. Nathan reflected on the path from forced resignation to doubled salary to this moment of complete peace. The journey had tested every part of him, yet strengthened the love that mattered most. Adrian leaned against him, watching the waves. We made it, Nate. True or false? The greatest strength comes from embracing your true self, no matter the cost.